Hi, everyone, and welcome back for Week 8 of the 2014 NFL season. I'd like to start off by congratulating this week's winners of the Geo Knows T-shirt contest. Congratulations to Matt Stuick of New Jersey and Mark Darling of Montreal, Quebec. Well done, you two. For your chance to win some Let's Take the Man's Money gear, you make sure you subscribe to my channel. I give out 2 T-shirts every week. Okay, here are this week's picks. I went 5-3 with my picks last week. First game we're going to look at has my Minnesota Vikings going to Tampa Bay, where the Buccaneers are 2.5-point favorites at home. Well, my Vikings lost in spectacular fashion last week on the last second to the Buffalo Bills, who offensively are kind of like Tampa Bay, not very good. But unlike Tampa Bay, their defense is a lot better, about the 8th ranked defense in the league. And I only say that because Vikings quarterback Teddy Bridgewater is 1-2 in the starts, and in the 2 games he's lost, he's faced Buffalo, who does have a good defense, and he also lost to Detroit, number 1 defense. Well, the Buccaneers are in a league of their own, right down at the bottom, number 32, and it's not even close. Their defensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier, happens to be our old head coach, and I think Minnesota would like to rub it into his face, as it were, because he was just awful. The man is a scrub. And I realize Tampa Bay has 2 weeks to prepare for this game, but Leslie Frazier could have 2 years, and he couldn't stop anybody. So, you know what? Let's take the points. Take Minnesota plus 2.5. The second game we're going to look at has the Baltimore Ravens going to Cincinnati, where the Bengals are 1-point favorites at home. This is a rematch of Week 1 when Cincinnati went to Baltimore and won there. The 2 teams are going in different directions since all of a sudden the Bengals can't score and their defense has gone completely south. I like Andy Dalton, the quarterback for the Bengals, as much as anybody. As a matter of fact, I've been cheering for him since he was at TCU, but the guy's a bum. He's not going to lead the Bengals anywhere. And I know there's a lot of Cincinnati Bengals fans who watch my videos, and they all say the same thing too. Until he plays a little bit better, they're not going to go very far. I think the Ravens are playing extremely well right now. You get a point. So let's take Baltimore plus 1. The third game we're going to look at has the St. Louis Rams going to Kansas City, where the Chiefs are 7-point favorites at home. Both teams won great games last week. The Rams used every gadget play in the world at home to knock off the champs, while Kansas City won a great game on the road in San Diego. I think the Rams might take a step back here. That was an emotional roller coaster. When you throw everything with the kitchen sink at a team, 1 week it usually doesn't work the following week. Kansas City's playing really well right now. Good quarterback, good coaching. It's a high number, but I think that's very doable because this should be a very high-scoring game. So you know what? Let's lay the points, and let's take Kansas City minus 7. And the fourth game we're going to look at has the Indianapolis Colts going to Pittsburgh, where the Steelers are 3-point dogs at home. I almost never bet games involving Pittsburgh because Ben Roethlisberger has taken more money out of my wallet and more food off my table than any other player in the world. If I bet on him, he becomes a turnover machine. If I bet against him, the guy can have 2 broken legs. You can rip his heart out and shoot him in the head, and he'll still cover the game. That being said, Indianapolis is just too much for Pittsburgh right now. The Steelers' defense is old and slow. Andrew Luck, I think, is the best quarterback in the league, and I realize that Peyton Manning set the all-time record for touchdowns last week. Come back in about 12, 13 years, Andrew Luck will be breaking those. It's a small price to pay, 3 points here. So let's lay the points, and let's take Indianapolis minus 3. Here are my over-under plays. The first game has Houston going to Tennessee. That number is 42.5. Neither of these 2 teams have very good offenses, and I believe Tennessee is going with the rookie, Zach Mettenberg, at quarterback. They've all but thrown the towel in on Locker. So I don't think there's going to be very many points scored in here, so let's take under 42.5. The second game has Chicago going to New England. That number is 50.5. Both teams score a lot. And New England has lost a lot of players on defense all year. They lost another guy this week. I can't remember which one. And of course, the Bears' defense stinks. So let's take over 50.5. The third game we're going to look at has St. Louis at Kansas City, a game I talked about. That number's 44. I personally think that Kansas City will put 48 points on the board myself. Should be an easy over. So let's take over 44. And the fourth game has Green Bay going to New Orleans. It's a high number, 55.5. Obviously, both these teams have great offenses. Drew Brees scores a lot more in the dome than he does on the road, and Aaron Rodgers and his friends will score a lot of points as well. It's a big number, but I still think it'll go over. That's what we'll do. Take over 55.5. And here's my Let's Take the Man's Money parlay play. 5 games. We're going to take 2 against the spread, 2 over-unders, and 1 money line play. We'll take Kansas City -7, Indianapolis -3. We'll take Chicago, New England over 50.5. And we'll take St. Louis and Kansas City over 44. And we'll take my Minnesota Vikings on the money line. A $25 bet will get you $764.12. Good luck. The Thursday night game will be a great one as MVP favorites Phillip Rivers and Peyton Manning go at it. In the end, the Broncos are just too tough to beat at home, especially on a short week, so go with Denver. On Sunday, we kick it off with Detroit at Atlanta. This game's actually being played in London, so no home field advantage for the Falcons here, as they show the British what everybody on this side of the pond already knows, that they stink. Take Detroit. My Minnesota Vikings go to Tampa Bay, where Bucs defensive coordinator and former Vikings head coach Leslie Frazier gets an extra week to prepare and show why Minnesota fired his ass, and the Vikings offense breaks out with a beatdown of Tampa. Skol Vikings. I'm simply not buying into the Bears being great on the road. The Patriots have only lost 3 times at home in 5.5 years. Take New England. That was an awesome win by St. Louis last week, but they probably won't be able to pull off all those trick plays 2 weeks in a row. And the Chiefs are playing great football right now, so take Kansas City. Both of these teams are going in the wrong direction, so I'll have to go with the champs, who are a better all-round team. Let's go with Seattle. The Jets got a few extra days to prepare and a brand new weapon in wide receiver Percy Harvin, while the Bills lost both their starting running backs last week. I'll take the Jets to win. The Jaguars finally got their first win of the year, so the pressure is off. Meanwhile, Miami's coming off an impressive road win, and they won 2 of their 3 games on the road. I'm going with the Dolphins. If these 2 teams had any brains, they would throw the rest of their games so they can draft Oregon Ducks quarterback Marcus Mariota. So in the Suck for the Duck Bowl, I'm going to take a tie. The Ravens look to avenge a home loss to the suddenly struggling Bengals. I think they do it. Take Baltimore. This is such an even contest. The Eagles are coming off the bye, but the Cardinals are at home. I'll take Arizona as a squeak out a win. The Steelers are old and slow and coming off a short week. They'll be no match for Andrew Luck and the Colts, so take Indianapolis. This is the first game the Raiders will be playing in 5 weeks where the opposition has home field advantage. I know the Browns stunk last week, but nothing like facing the silver and black to get you back on track. Take Cleveland. This is just not the same New Orleans team we're used to seeing. The defense is terrible, and they're allowing about 9 points more a game this year than last. And now they face Mr. Discount Double Douche Aaron Rodgers and the high-flying Packers. Take Green Bay in the Sunday Nighter. Finally, on Monday Night Football, the #1 ranked Dallas Cowboys face division rival Washington Redskins, led by quarterback Colt McCoy.
Did I say Colt McCoy? Barring an act of God, Dallas should rout the Redskins. How about them Cowboys? And you might want to consider taking them in your suicide pool.
Okay, and those are my picks for this week. Good luck to you. Make sure you check out my website, geoknows.com. On my YouTube section, I host all of the other prognosticators' videos. You can even download our app, FPN Videos. That's Football Prognosticator Network's videos onto your smartphone and carry them around with you. And don't forget to check out our Facebook page as well. I'll leave the link in the section below. Okay, for the Geo Knows YouTube channel, I am Geo. Let's take the man's money.